Ladies and gentlemen, people say, be that guy who wakes up at 5 a.m., be that guy who works hard, be that guy who never gives up. But tell me, who is this guy? He's not someone out there, he is you. If only you stop lying to yourself. You see, most people are not suffering because of the world. They are suffering the consequences of their own unwillingness to grow. They are in pain not because life is cruel, but because they keep choosing the easy path again and again. Be that guy who shows up, not for the world, not for applause, but because his own soul won't let him sleep if he doesn't. When everyone else is looking for shortcuts, be the one who builds slowly, brick by brick. Not because it's fashionable, because it's right. Be that guy who does what's needed, whether or not it feels good, whether or not someone is watching. You want to know what real freedom is? It is not doing what you like. It is doing what is needed and rising above your compulsions. There is a man inside you who is strong, clear and unstoppable. But that man is buried under your laziness, your fear, your distractions. Every time you scroll endlessly, gossip pointlessly, complain meaninglessly, he goes deeper underground. Be that guy who digs him out, not tomorrow, now. It's not about success. Success is too small a word. It's about living in such a way that life bows down to your intensity. That when you walk into a room, even silence makes space for you. Not because you're loud, but because you're real. If you are waiting for motivation, you will wait forever. Be that guy who doesn't wait, who just acts because it's time, because it's always been time. This is not inspiration. This is your responsibility to yourself, to life. So, be that guy, be the fire and burn through everything that is not you. That guy is not someone on a magazine cover, not someone with six packs or six zeros in his bank account, not someone who stands on stages or posts motivational quotes. That guy is not out there in the distance living a life you can only dream of, because that guy is actually the most potent version of you. The one who wakes up inside you every morning before the world starts talking, the one who whispers to you when you're alone, when you're quiet, when you're not trying to pretend and that guy is buried not because he is weak, but because you keep piling distractions, doubts and the dust of your daily nonsense on him until even you forget he was ever alive inside you. He is the part of you that doesn't flinch when things get hard, that doesn't beg for comfort or approval or applause, that doesn't shrink in the face of failure or melt under pressure, and yet you cover him every time you hit snooze, every time you lie to yourself about starting tomorrow, every time you numb your hunger with cheap dopamine, and all the while he waits, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the quiet dignity of truth. Because he knows no matter how long you run, no matter how far you drift, there will come a moment when silence becomes too loud, and in that silence he will speak again. But you see, fear is clever. It wears many masks. Sometimes it pretends to be logic, other times it dresses up as friends who don't want you to grow, or culture that says, slow down, take it easy, you're already doing enough. But the truth is that fear is not stopping you are choosing it. Feeding it, nurturing it like a pet you refuse to let go because fear feels familiar and the real you, that guy is unfamiliar, wild and untamed, and to walk toward him means losing the comfort of your carefully constructed weakness. Excuses are your way of making failure acceptable, your way of telling yourself the lie beautifully wrapped in logic, saying you didn't have the time, the support, the right moment. But in your bones, you know the truth. You always knew because that guy inside you doesn't need perfect timing. He doesn't wait for stars to align. He just moves, breathes, builds, breaks, rebuilds, and never asks the world to make it easy because he doesn't want easy, he wants real. Laziness is not just lying on the couch, it's agreeing to live a small life, it's shrinking your own possibilities to fit the narrative of a good enough. It's betraying the voice inside you that keeps calling, calling louder with every wasted day, and eventually it doesn't whisper anymore. It roars in the form of regret, aches, tension, bitterness, and the feeling that somehow, somewhere, you became less than what you came here to be. You know what it takes, not in theory but in your own lived experience. Because there have been days, maybe just flashes, where you were sharp, clear awake, when your spine straightened without effort, when your eyes were full of something fierce and unexplainable, when you felt like life was moving through you, and that wasn't a coincidence or a lucky day. That was a glimpse of that guy inside, the one who's always there, waiting for you to stop playing small. So don't ask how to find him, don't chase books or mantras hoping someone else will hand him to you. Because he's not a formula, he's not a checklist, he's a becoming, and becoming begins when you stop choosing comfort over truth, when you stop letting your mind negotiate with your calling, when you finally say, enough, and start walking toward that fire even if your feet bleed, even if no one claps, even if nothing makes sense, because deep down you know this is the only thing that ever mattered. That guy is not someone you become someday if you're lucky or disciplined enough. That guy is who you already are, underneath the noise, beneath the fear, beyond the excuses, and all life is ever asking you to do, all it's ever begged you to do is to remember. Be the one who chooses growth over comfort, because comfort is a slow poison disguised as peace. It lulls you into a false sense of safety where nothing changes, where the heart stops stretching, and the mind settles into patterns that feel easy but are quietly shrinking your life. And when no one is watching, when the applause fades and the distractions disappear, your real choices come alive, the ones that define who you truly are, not the face you show to the world. Growth is uncomfortable. It demands you to look at your weaknesses, your fears, the parts of yourself you would rather hide or ignore. And it asks you to break old habits, to embrace struggle as a teacher rather than an enemy. It pushes you beyond your limits, beyond what feels safe and familiar, because the soul cannot expand without friction. And the body cannot strengthen without resistance. So choose growth even when the walls around you whisper to stay small, stay quiet, stay still. When no one is watching, that's when the real test begins, because there is no applause, no validation, no encouragement from others, only your own raw commitment to something deeper, to becoming more than what you were yesterday and in those unseen moments. You either give in to the temptation of ease or you stand firm, you rise, you do the work that no one will ever know about, and that is where your greatness is born. Choosing growth over comfort means saying no to excuses, to the voice inside that pleads for rest when rest is really avoidance. It means pushing through boredom, loneliness, frustration. It means building discipline not for recognition but for integrity. For the joy of knowing you honored your highest potential, even when it felt like no one cared, because in the end, growth is the only way to keep your soul alive and vibrant in a world designed to keep you numb and small. Comfort may give you temporary relief, a momentary escape from pain, but growth gives you long-lasting freedom, the freedom to create, to love, to dream bigger than your fears, to move through life with purpose and clarity, and when no one is watching. That freedom belongs only to those who dare to choose the harder path, who dare to be vulnerable, who dare to keep walking forward when the world again stays still. You will feel alone in this choice because most people choose comfort without even realizing it. They build their lives around ease, around avoidance, around the smallest effort necessary to get by. And that is why very few live fully. Fully, why very few become legends of their own existence. So be the one who breaks the cycle, who chooses growth not because it is easy, but because it is the only true way to live deeply and honestly. Choosing growth over comfort is a daily moment-by-moment decision, a quiet revolution inside you that never stops, no matter how many times you fall or fail, because growth is not about perfection. It is about relentless persistence, about showing up for yourself when no one else is watching. Not honoring the sacred fire within that will not be extinguished by fear or laziness or doubt. So when you find yourself tempted to take the easy way out, to settle for what feels good and safe, remember that real life, the kind of life that burns bright and full, is found only in growth, and be the one who chooses it every time, even when the world turns its back, even when no one sees. Because that is how you become truly alive. Discipline is often misunderstood as punishment, as something harsh and joyless, a chain that binds you to suffering and denial. But true discipline is the exact opposite. A conscious choice to honor the life you have been given by refusing to let your impulses and weaknesses dictate your existence. Because when you discipline yourself, you are not forcing pain upon yourself. You are giving your own soul the care and attention it desperately needs. When you look closely, discipline is a form of love that goes beyond fleeting pleasure and temporary comfort. It is the commitment to your own growth and well-being, the way you say, I am worth the effort. Even when laziness whispers to quit and distractions scream louder. And this love is not soft or easy. It is fierce, it is unwavering, because love that does not require discipline is fragile and fleeting. But love that holds you accountable is unbreakable. Punishment is external. It comes from outside forces trying to control or shame you. But discipline is internal. It comes from a place deep within you where clarity, integrity and purpose meet. And it is that inner discipline that allows you to face your fears, to move through discomfort, and to you build a life that reflects your true potential. And when you embrace this truth, you realize discipline is not something to dread, but something to celebrate as the highest form of caring for yourself. Every time you choose discipline, you are choosing to protect your dreams from the chaos of momentary desires. You are choosing to guard your future against the seduction of ease and instant gratification. And in this choosing, you are showing yourself that your well-being matters more than any passing whim, that your happiness is not in avoiding effort, but in embracing it with love and attention, and that is where real freedom begins. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and without it, love remains just an idea, a vague hope that never materializes into reality. But with discipline, love becomes a daily practice, a sacred ritual where you nurture your body, mind and spirit with the care that you deserve, even on days when you feel tired or discouraged, because true self-love is not indulgence, but dedication. To discipline yourself is to say yes to your highest self and no to the countless distractions that pull you away from what truly matters. And this yes is a gift you give yourself, a powerful statement that you will not settle for less than what you are capable of. And in that yes, your love for yourself grows stronger, deeper and more real than any external validation could ever be. When you see discipline as punishment, you live as a victim, caught in a cycle of guilt and shame. But when you see discipline as self-love, you live as a creator, as someone who shapes their own destiny with care and wisdom. And this shift in perception changes everything. Because then discipline is no longer a burden, but a path to liberation, a path to becoming whole and alive. Or remember, discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-love, the purest expression of respect for the life you have been given. And every moment you choose discipline, you choose yourself, you honor yourself, and you step into the vast power of your own being, a power that no circumstance can take away because it is born from love, from clarity and from an unshakable commitment to your own truth. Don't crave respect because craving respect is like chasing a shadow. You will never catch it. And when you try to earn it by bending, by pleasing, by becoming less than who you are, you lose yourself in the process. And respect that is given out of obligation or fear is not respect at all, but a fragile illusion that disappears the moment you stop performing. So instead of chasing respect, live in such a way that life itself cannot ignore you, that your presence commands attention not through noise but through depth. Living so profoundly that life cannot ignore you means you stop seeking validation from outside and instead become a force that naturally draws respect because of your integrity, your courage and the clarity with which you walk your path. And this kind of living is not loud or boastful. It is steady and unshakable, like a mountain rooted deeply in the earth, weathering every storm with grace, not because it wants to be noticed, but because it simply is. When you crave respect, you make yourself small, you become a performer in a world of masks, hoping for applause. You stop caring about applause because your energy is not dependent on others' opinions. It flows from within, from the wellspring of your own truth. And this truth radiates outward in everything you do, in the way you hold yourself, in the kindness you offer and in the fierce commitment to your own path. To live in such a way that life cannot ignore you is to live with purpose so clear and so deep that it shines even in the darkest moments. It is to stand tall when others falter, to speak your true truth when silence is easier, to act with conviction even when fear whispers you should run. And in this way, respect becomes a byproduct, not a goal, because life always honors those who honor themselves fully and fearlessly. This kind of living demands that you shed the layers of subtle conditioning, the need to fit in, the desire to be liked, and that you embrace your uniqueness with all its imperfections, because it is not perfection that commands respect but authenticity, vulnerability, and the willingness to show up fully even when it is uncomfortable or lonely. And this willingness turns you into a presence that cannot be ignored. When you no longer crave respect, you are free to be messy, free to fail, to learn and grow without the shackles of needing approval. And in that freedom, you become magnetic. You become a living example of what it means to be alive. And that is what life respects above all else, not perfection, not status, but raw, unfiltered being. Respect is not something you receive. It is something you embody through your actions, your words, and your presence. And when you live so fully that your energy disrupts the ordinary, that your passion burns bright even in the smallest moments, you create a force so powerful that life has no choice but to take notice and honor the fire within you. So don't crave respect because it is fleeting and shallow. Live in such a way that life cannot ignore you, that your existence becomes a testament to the power of truth, courage and love. And in that living, you become unstoppable, unforgettable and truly free. You don't need motivation because motivation is fleeting like the wind. It comes and goes with your moods, your circumstances, your fleeting desires. And when it leaves, as it always does, you are left empty and confused. But what you truly need is clarity, a unshakable vision of what is real, what matters, and what your role is in this vast unfolding of life. And once you have that clarity, motivation becomes unnecessary because your actions are no longer dependent on feeling inspired, but on seeing clearly. Clarity is not a fancy idea or a quick fix. It is a deep knowing that cuts through the noise of doubt, distraction and delusion. It is the light that reveals your path even in the darkest night. And when you possess clarity, you don't wait for motivation to strike you like lightning. You move steadily, relentlessly, like a river carving its way through rock, because you know that life will test you, will challenge you, and that only those who act regardless of feeling ready will rise. Be the one who sees life for what it is, neither better nor worse than it actually is, without sugarcoating or despair, without hope or fear clouding your vision, just pure, unfiltered truth, because only when you see clearly can you respond with wisdom rather than reaction. Only then can you choose your steps with intention instead of being tossed by the waves of emotion. And that seeing is the foundation of true strength. When life gets hard, and it will often and without warning be the one who acts anyway. Who keeps moving even when the body aches, when the mind screams to quit, when the heart feels heavy and alone, because action in the face of difficulty is the essence of growth, the sacred ritual through which your soul becomes unbreakable. And it is not about pushing through pain blindly, but about holding steady to clarity in the chaos. You will realize that motivation is a luxury, a pleasant visitor that can support your journey, but can never carry you across the difficult terrain. So stop waiting for that spark to ignite your fire and instead fuel yourself with clarity, with commitment, with the resolve to do what is necessary, even when the road is steep and the nights are long, because this is the path of those who truly live rather than merely survive. Clarity brings with it a kind of peace, not the peace of comfort or ease, but the peace of knowing you are awake and aware, that your actions are aligned with a deeper purpose, and that no matter what happens outside, your inner compass remains steady, guiding you forward, teaching you that the only way to overcome the hardest moments is to keep your eyes open and your feet moving. This clarity, once found, will transform the way you experience life. It will strip away illusions and excuses, reveal the raw beauty in struggle, and invite you to participate fully in the dance of existence, knowing that every step taken with clarity is a step toward freedom, toward becoming the person you were always meant to be, and that no hardship can stop you when your vision is clear. So be that one, the one who sees without distortion, who acts without hesitation, who moves through life not waiting for motivation but grounded in clarity. And watch how the world begins to open for you, how the impossible becomes possible, how strength arises not from feeling good but from knowing what is true and living it fully, no matter how hard it